Mary's team this week, Snow Babies. WMMS.com has all the details you want. It's a free event. Come hang with us. We do our race. Go party in the lodge. There's discount tickets if you want to tube all night. Again, WMMS.com has all the info. But you got to win your way onto one of the teams. And so you can get your first spot on Mary's team here. So good luck. Caller 10, you will join us. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Okay, so being called an audio hate crime by Ohio Quilter Magazine wasn't our proudest moment. The Alan Cox Show.
On 100.7.
WMMS.
All right. Another $1,000 for you in about 8 or 9 minutes. A chance for you to grab $1,000, courtesy of the Buzzard Bookie. Last week to do that. We'll be out tomorrow and Friday, but the remainder of the week, well, while we're out, I mean, there'll be a sum-up show, but you'll still have keywords. So pay attention to them if you have, as of yet, struck out with the grand. Thank you again to the fine folks over at Circle K for providing prizes for us for this year's Polar Blast Battle. Appreciate your assistance. It's the only place, I'll repeat it, it's the only place you can get the Jack Link's Wild Dr. Pepper Snack Stick. I got to get in there and get one of those, by the way. Usually I'm talking about Circle K because they're always the only place you can get whatever new Mountain Dew flavor they got going on, right? The Purple Thunder or whatever. Mm-hmm. I did like the Aubrey Plaza Nick Offerman Mountain Dew commercial during the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's one that we caught early, though.
I did see that early, and she's so foxy. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is about Aubrey Plaza. Maybe it's her cool, detached demeanor.
It's her big, dead eyes.
Is that what it is? Those big, dead chestnut eyes of hers. Mm. But anyway, so thank you to the fine folks, the men and women, the ladies and gentlemen over at Circle K for prizes for the Polar Blast Battle. And thank you as well to Statement Limousine. They get us there and back safely because we like to party. We like to party after the Polar Blast Battle. And, you know, we will do, that's going to be a busy few days for me that week.
Me too.
I got a lot of stuff going on with the show, and then I got a show on Thursday night, and then we got the Polar Blast on Friday.
What's your Thursday night show?
Static X in Seven Dust.
I'm going to be in Erie, PA doing a show out there. So I got Erie, PA, and then we got the Polar Blast, and then I'm doing that show in Youngstown.
Yeah, I got the Polar Blast, and then that Saturday,
you want to switch? We
got a buddy's 41st birthday party. So there's going to be a lot of drinking. There's going to be a lot of partying. There's probably going to be...
Where's the 41st birthday party?
That's going to be
at a house, or
that's going to be at a bar in Lakewood.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So it'll be a busy, busy few days. But I like that. I like when there's a lot of stuff going on. But all week around this time, we'll have spots for you on Mary's team. She's out today, but we'll all be back on Wednesday. And if you want to leave us messages on the iHeartRadio app, you can certainly do that. If you listen from out of state, tell me where. A couple of people we're up to 760 bureau chiefs around North America, and a couple of people have updated their locations. So Rodney and Jamie are in Allen, Texas. I think that's suburban Dallas. Jonathan's in Clanton, Alabama. Selena's in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Ryan listens in Seattle. Bob listens in Astoria, Oregon. And, why do you think they dropped the Rock Hall nominees on the Saturday before Super Bowl Sunday?
That was weird. That was a weird time to do it.
Do you think they were fine? You know how, like, when there's big news, they'll do a Friday night news dump because they know nobody will be paying attention to it. Politically,
But don't you want people to pay attention to the Rock Hall nominees?
You do,
Yeah.
but they know everybody is going to be going over it with a fine-toothed comb anyway, but it's like, and I know every year we look at the list of nominees.
And we say they should all be in.
And we go,
They're
what?
all deserving.
What are they thinking with some of them? But I have to tell you, this year's list, I go,
It's a strange
what
list.
are they thinking?
This is
Yeah,
a
it's a
strange
very
list.
strange list. It's like this year they forgot they were going to have to come up with a dozen nominees. And so they hit an intern up on Friday night and said, hey, I completely forgot we have to announce the nominees tomorrow for the class of 2024. Could you just put a quick list together? And then somebody spun the wheel on like their streaming playlist, and they came up with these 15 nominees. It's back in Cleveland this year. It'll be in the fall at the Romo Fijo. They will stream it live on Disney Plus. And it'll be, all these streamers now are under not one company, but there's about 4 or 5 companies now that have all the streamers. So Disney Plus and Hulu and ABC, those are all the same company. So they're going to be streaming the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductions on Disney Plus. And then they do it on New Year's Day on ABC Network. Did you see the list, Cody?
Saw some of them, yeah. I didn't have a problem with a couple of, like Sade.
Go ahead, try it again.
Sade.
Yeah.
There we go.
I didn't have a problem with her.
That's the one you didn't have a problem with. Listen, I love Sade as much as the next guy. I saw her in concert 30 years ago. If you couldn't get
really?
laid after a Sade show, you weren't going to get laid. But in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I mean...
They just need to, just like everything else, it's subjective. Like, it's not rock and roll. Rock and roll is the brand, but
no,
it's
I
not
understand.
the genre.
I know that ship has sailed. I don't think anybody should be criticizing anymore for not rock acts. My thought is just, let's put all of the rock acts in first before we get to, you want to broaden your horizons. That's great. But let's get the bands that should absolutely be in there first and then move on to Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, and Cher.
I had no idea that Ozzy wasn't in as a solo artist
No,
yet.
that's one of the most egregious.
Yeah.
And it's not like Ozzy's going to come to Cleveland.
He might.
He is not.
Why not?
Because he's already in. Sharon doesn't care. Sharon points him in the direction he needs to go, and she ain't going to take him to Cleveland.
She's going to bring him to Cleveland. I think he'll be here. He did his 50th anniversary show here.
He doesn't know that.
Yes, he
does
might.
not. Ozzy does not know that he did the WMMS 50th anniversary show
But
in
it's
2018.
also part of his 50th anniversary of touring.
Nevertheless, he doesn't care.
And I think that was the last show of his tour that year. I think he's going to show up.
Mary J.
He's
Blige,
going to show up.
Mariah Carey, Cher. Conventional wisdom is that Mariah Carey will be the shoe-in there.
I can't believe Cher's not in yet.
Dave Matthews Band, Eric B. and Rakim, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, Juanas Adicción, Kool and the Gang. Now, I thought Kool would be in as a solo artist, but apparently he's not. He needs to get in with the gang. Lenny Kravitz, Oasis, Sinead O'Connor, Ozzy Osbourne as a solo artist. He's in with Sabbath. Sade and A Tribe Called Quest. Even as weird as the nominee lists are year to year, I don't know why this is just such a weird list. It's like they threw darts at a board.
Like, who are the first-time nominees here?
Like most of them, I think, are first time.
Or like the first years of
10 out of-
eligibility, though.
10 out of the 15 are first-time ballots.
Okay. But they're not their first year of eligibility, though.
Correct.
That's what I'm... that's kind of the land we're getting into now, because I don't think there's going to be as many bands. Like, after, you're going to get bands like Nickelback getting nominated eventually, or Limp Bizkit.
But they're
what?
well, that's if you go purely by eligibility,
Yeah.
those are your possibilities. Yes, but I'm talking about like And again, I'm no purist. There are just so many egregious absences that maybe get to them first. You know, put Iron Maiden in the Rock and Roll Hall of
Once
Fame.
and for all, please.
REO Speedwagon, right? We gave away tickets last week. They're coming to Blossom this summer. Might not be your favorite band. Should they be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Yes, they should. Should Bad Company be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Yes, they should. Foreigner, Frampton, yes, those guys should. I don't know if they'll split the vote. I could see Frampton getting in and not Foreigner. But again, obviously, you know, we're as guilty of this as anybody else. We toss this list around, and it's because it's fun to do. But in years past, there's always a dark horse nomination. Sade is this year's Kate Bush, right? Sinead, she passed away. Maybe she gets a, I don't know. You can go and you can vote. I voted my nominees this morning, and you can do that every day. But in years past, you've kind of seen the standouts. I don't know what they are this year. I don't know what it's so scattered. I don't know what the standouts are. Again, when it comes to pop artists, I always think of, have they inspired other musicians?
I think you got to put Cher in. I think that's.
Do you?
I think
Yes.
so. She's just.
Because she's old?
No, not because she's old, but.
Well, then what other
Her
reason?
music
If you're talking
transcends
about-
generations.
Yeah, like being a generational talent, inspiring other musicians. I mean,
I don't
Cher's that.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I'm just saying that I see them putting Mariah Carey in before Cher.
I
Put
don't think so.
both in.
Okay.
Make them diva fight.
With knives,
Mm-hmm.
razors,
Again,
like the Deftones.
I think Whitney Houston has more of a rock and roll appeal than Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey, she don't have one song that makes her get sweaty. And if you ain't got one song that makes you get sweaty, then you don't need to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I mean, is there a song that Dolly Parton has that makes you get sweaty? Because she's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Dolly Parton has wrote.
Is there an
thousands
Oasis
of
song that
songs.
makes you get sweaty?
Possibly.
And they're a rock band.
Yeah.
I mean, the Deftones aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
They'll get you sweaty, though.
They should be a first. Hells yes. The Deftones.
They'll get you real sweaty.
That's F metal right there. Let me give you the money. It is $1,000, courtesy of the Buzzard bookie. Listen closely and good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard Bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Bills. That's Bills. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
Still got to nail down our punishments, too.
I know.
Michael Jackson, of course, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He got in twice within 4 years. He got in first with the Jackson 5, and then he's been in for 20-plus years as a solo artist. And he sold his catalog. You sent me this, Poundcake? He sold his catalog?
Half of it.
I thought Paul McCartney, or no, I guess Michael Jackson bought the Beatles, right?
Yeah.
I thought the Michael Jackson catalog was already sold.
No, I told you that is why it was like a big conspiracy around his death, because people was like Sony was after his catalog, and
Everything's a conspiracy.
but they were partly right. They have been trying to buy this man's catalog for years.
Who's they?
Sony.
Sony.
What
Took him so long?
Because Michael wouldn't sell. Not half of it, not a quarter of it.
I mean, he's
nothing.
been dead for a long time now.
The estate wouldn't sell it.
Ah.
But what's happening now is, I covered this on my Poundcake podcast months ago. I think it was actually a year to the day, because they were in talks of selling this, and I told them no.
You were ahead of
do
the
it.
game on this.
Because I heard the news breaking, and I saw the writing on the wall, because I know exactly what they were going to do. Because they did it with the Aaliyah biopic. They didn't have an Aaliyah biopic in the movie theater, like in theaters, because the estate wouldn't sign off on the music rights, because who controls the masters controls the narrative, so they can paint.
Yeah, but Aaliyah is not Michael Jackson.
I understand that. So that's a small artist like Aaliyah, and she's not small, but she's not Michael Jackson status. Not many are, but Michael Jackson, they're coming out with a biopic, and every time, that's a lot of money to be putting out there. If they play his movie in Japan and China and Asia and all over the world, every time one of his songs plays, he's going to get paid for that. So the studios were like, we're not going to do a biopic if we don't get a piece of it. So
what
they had
is
to
the
sell his
point?
masters.
What do you think the point is of buying half of a catalog?
Because you get some money rather than no money. They weren't gonna. Michael didn't want to sell anything.
$600 million is the reported rate for half of his catalog.
And these people were talking about, oh, Michael was broke when he died. Michael wasn't broke. They
He
wanted
got
you
a
to
ton
believe
of
he
debt though.
debt from what? Like you can. What can't you buy with $1.2
He
billion?
Well, that doesn't mean liquid. I mean, something is only valued what somebody else goes with. This is what we'll give you for it.
But
so
he had all of his
it's not
music.
it's not like he could write a check for $1.2 billion.
But what I'm saying, he could sell something off and pay it off, and he wouldn't do that. That's how you knew he was smart with it. 'Cause
Well, they tried to sell Neverland Ranch. They couldn't get anybody to buy that mess.
Oh yeah, they'll probably bulldoze that because the land alone is millions of dollars.
Right, but he couldn't sell that when he was alive. They were trying to sell that to pay like legal bills and stuff,
Yeah,
and
but
nobody would buy it.
No one wanted to buy it because
That's why he that was an albatross around his neck.
Because once you buy the land, you have to do something with it, or it's essentially wasted if no one wants to pay for it. I'm sure they much rather well, just give us the rights to the Bad album. Or, I mean, he didn't just own his music. He owned the Beatles catalog and other artists like Beyonce. Every time Beyonce made an album, he would get paid. Like he owned Eminem. He bought Eminem's masters. So every time Eminem made an album, underneath that contract, under the umbrella, underneath the umbrella of Sony, Michael Jackson would get paid. So
he bought Eminem's catalog.
Mm-hmm.
Why would Eminem sell his own catalog to Michael Jackson?
He didn't have
He didn't own
you
it.
sign your rights away when you become he's Eminem the artist, not Eminem the person. Like he's Marshall Mathers the person.
You think he'll re-record all of his songs?
Eminem's version,
M's version.
Yeah.
Him
Marshall's
twirling
version.
Yeah.
twirling around in the wind. Yeah. So I saw this on the writing on the wall. There was no way they were going to make a Michael biopic, show him in a nice light, air it all around the world, and allow the estate to make money off of it without Sony making some money off of it. But half of it. And I think
Well, you've really got this all figured out.
well, because it's a bad deal. Because they're not, if they want to control.
This is a bad deal.
Yes, because if the Michael Jackson estate wants to control the narrative, you need a controlling share. 50% is not a controlling share. You want the stipulations was 50%, and then we will manage the estate. And I'm like, well, you don't have any power to do that. You got to have 51% and allow the other half to have 49%, and then you can kind of call the shots. They can't do that. So we'll see what happens.
So who is running his estate?
I don't know. Some group or someone he probably
Reby?
dictated before he died. I don't know if it's the Jackson family per se.
Is it Jermaine and Reby? Does Tito get a cut?
I'm sure the family gets something. Jafar, his nephew.
Jafar! Your Majesty, does he get some?
No, but Jafar is playing him in the biopic.
Ah, all right.
So I'm sure that was another
I just don't want
stipulation.
Your Majesty to get cut out.
Jafar looks the most like Michael.
Jafar.
Jafar, Your Majesty.
Yeah.
I forget all. They're all J's.
Yeah, sure are.
But they fought him tooth and nail while he was alive to try and get a sliver of his catalog, and he wouldn't sell. And now after he's dead,
Why not sell when you're alive?
because he didn't need to. Why?
Well, everybody can use $600 million.
But
I
Michael,
mean,
he had that. That's where it was valued now. Like
right, but I'm just saying, I mean, the guy knew he wasn't going to live to be 85 years old.
But what,
You see the writing. You got to see the writing on your own wall when you were living like he was. I mean, unless he was so out of it that he was like, "I'm gonna live for I'll be 100." It wasn't gonna happen.
But okay, you ask him to sell. Why doesn't he sell? Why doesn't Sony ever sell their masters back to their artists? Because they make generational wealth off of that. Labels don't sell their catalog that often.
Well, no, the money
wanna
only goes one way. But if you're an artist lucky enough to be able to value your catalog at that, like Queen, so, Brian May is trying to sell that catalog for like $1 billion, and so. Yeah, the money only goes one way. So if you're Michael Jackson, Brian May is not waiting until he dies to let the estate sell the catalog. Yeah, all these artists, Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks, there's a reason they're doing it while they're alive.
Yes, but Michael did not. He had enough. He would make $1 million per show when he would go on tour. That's why he was doing the This Is It tour. It would have got him out of debt. He didn't need to sell anything.
I thought he had a lot of money.
He did have a lot of money.
But you said
Cody's saying he didn't need to sell because he already had a lot of money. But these people all have a lot of money.
But debt is also, it doesn't mean you're poor. It just means you got a loan. Like if you have $60 million and you take out a loan for, $80 million, okay, you're $20 million in debt. You can make a couple investments and pay that off.
But why owe anyone anything? Why be indebted to anyone?
When you have that much money.
If you have that much money, why be? That's the freedom. You don't owe anybody anything.
That's how you make more money. If you invest it, you're gonna take some risks, right?
I think you're giving Michael Jackson way too much credit.
I'm not. I'm giving him the right amount of credit because they're just now buying his catalog.
But he was an artist. It's not like Michael Jackson was.
Died.
It's not like he was a financial genius. I mean, he had teams of people working on these things. So he was the guy. They're like, hey, get out there, dance your ass off.
But the fact that he
write the songs, sing them. We'll take care of this.
The fact that he got to that point, no other artist has ever gotten to that point. Artists are fighting, trying to get, a couple rights to their songs, and they can't even get that. He owned his masters and then some. He owned the whole damn label. They created a whole label because Michael wouldn't sell anything. Sony ATV. So I don't know. I will watch the biopic because I'm very interested in how they will cover him, but I don't know this whole catalog thing is going to go down the way they think it is. You got to have a controlling share to make sure these people.
Well, he owns a lot of people's music too. That's part of it, right?
Yeah.
He owns the Sly and the Family Stone catalog. He owns Jerry Lee Lewis music. He owns Curtis Mayfield Pusher Man. He owns Ray Charles music. Like, he owned a lot of music he didn't write. So that's probably all part of it.
And so when these labels go into debt, when these labels say we don't have any artists these artists aren't making money or they can't promote a tour the way they want to, they have to sell catalogs to make money. So the fact that Michael was like, nope, y'all could go into debt. I'm not going to debt because of y'all. I'll get money on the back end. I'll tour overseas. I'll have a residency, at
his estate,
the O2 Arena.
His estate still makes $75 million a year.
Oh, but he was broke.
Well, nobody said he was broke. But he was in a lot of debt.
But rich people know that debt does not mean you're broke.
Well, nobody was saying he was broke.
A lot of people were saying he was broke because they wanted to make.
Well, then they don't understand how that works. But what I'm saying is, why would you want to be in debt to anyone?
I just told you. If you take a tour, like you go through a touring agency, they're like, Michael, you have to do this tour, and we'll give you $100 million advance.
Right, but what I'm saying is, if he was as powerful as you contend that he was, he wouldn't let anybody tell him what he was going to do. He would be dictating all the terms. Because they need him. He doesn't need them.
But you also rely on other people. He can't be an accountant and a manager and an agent and a lawyer. You need to rely on other people somewhat. And that was his demise. He relied on a doctor that...
I think the propofol was his demise.
He didn't do the propofol himself. The doctor did that.
It went into his body and eventually killed him. I need my milk. Give me my milk. I'm going to break. I want to send a text, 35192, AlanCoxShow.com for everything else.